Hey there, it's Jen Savolino from the College Place, Oregon, and welcome to today. It's the first of our career workshop series. And today we're going to talk about career awareness. So we'll talk about career awareness, what different career clusters are, different types of career assessments, and something called Holland codes, which have absolutely nothing to do with tulips or the country. So let's start with what career awareness is. Career awareness is the process of learning about different careers and occupations. So for each career, you've got different levels of skill, education, and day-to-day activities. So it's important for you to be exposed to many of the options out there for you as we can. Even though you're juniors right now, career awareness is really a lifelong process. So you're still going to be gaining knowledge about different careers and job options once you've started in a career, and that will continue on until you're all done. So let's get started. So the U.S. Department of Education created career clusters, and these clusters are designed to help you see similarities between different skills different skills and abilities for each of the different fields. So careers in each of the clusters have related content, the same type of expertise, and they really show their similarities, and that might help you. So if you're interested in one particular career and then there's something about it that you decide that's not it, you might have some other options within that same cluster that align with your skills and your interests. So this is what a career cluster map looks like. And there are some occupations, every occupation is going to fall into at least one of the 16. There are some that could fit into more than one cluster. So, and while this is a visually beautiful graphic, it's a little bit high end. So I just want to really quickly go through with you and explain what the career clusters are. So we've got the 16. Agriculture, food, and natural resources. Second, we've got architecture and construction. Third, we've got arts, audiovisual technology, and communications. Fourth, we've got business management and administration. Fifth, we've got education and training. And I don't know if you're able to glance at the image on the last slide quickly enough, but there was a bubble that said training. So now we know it's education and training. Sixth is finance. 7 is government and public administration. 8 is health science. 9 is hospitality and tourism. 10 is human services. 11 is information technology. 12 is law, public safety, corrections, and security. 13 is manufacturing. 14 is marketing. 15th is STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And 16 is transportation, distribution, and logistics. These are just in alphabetical order, so don't think that there's anything surrounding the numbering system. We just alphabetized them for you. All right, so we're going to do a really quick pop quiz. So now that you know what those 16 career clusters are, let's kind of see how this works in action. So what I want you to do is to match the career on the left, it's the capital A, which would be resort hotel manager, with the cluster on the right, on that most closely matches. And there are some that could go either way, but we're looking for the best fit. And as you do this, there should be one career matched to one cluster when you're all done. Okay, so we're going to review. First, a resort hotel manager would be in the hospitality and tourism career cluster. Sorry, not culture. Next, for accountant, we would have our accountant go into the finance cluster. So far, these are making a lot of sense. The police officer would go into the law, public safety, corrections, and security cluster. That's a mouthful. Our conservationist would be agriculture, food, and natural resources. But this one could be a little bit tricky because depending on their role, a conservationist could fall into the STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, if they, for example, did research. All right, the astronaut, though, definitely falls into STEM. And that leaves us the newspaper editor into the arts, AV, technology, and communications cluster. So hopefully that made the clusters become a little bit clearer to you. And now we're going to talk about which career clusters might be a good fit for your professional career. All right, so the first thing that adults, we always are like, oh, we'll have to do some career assessments. And students like, I don't want to do that. I'm not applying for a job. But there's some real power in identifying your talents and strengths before you even start on your career or your education after high school. Career assessments are usually questionnaires or surveys that gather information about you, and they help you identify careers where you would be more fulfilled professionally. We want you to start thinking about this right now. What do you like to do? Why do you like to do it? You know, you're juniors in high school, and in just a few years, we're going to be on you to start choosing a college major. And sometimes even as you're sorting through colleges, we're like, well, what majors are you interested in? That'll help you kind of rank colleges and sort them. But I also want you to start thinking about the type of work you want to do in your life. I want you to think about it right now when you're not under pressure. So because that way, when you're not under a deadline to pick a college or pick a major, you'll have a little bit more time and space, and you can be a little bit more thoughtful to really discern what you might like in your career as you're making your college and career decisions. So we're going to talk about Holland codes. And again, they're not about tulips. The Holland codes were developed by John L. Holland, and they're based on research that he began in the 1950s. He kind of looked at people as a series of continuums. So are you more comfortable with people or with things? Are you more comfortable with data or with ideas? And you're going to be somewhere along the continuum for all 6 of these continuums. So Holland thought people excelled the most when they were in careers and environments that really matched where they felt the most comfortable naturally. So he described 6 characteristics that we can use to describe people. RIASEC, so those spell out, and so they're realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional. So a lot of career assessments will come back and will give you a RIASEC code. And when you get your RIASEC code, you're going to get your top 3 characteristics. So instead of having all 6, you're going to have 3, and they're going to be listed in the order of importance to you. So we're going to quickly go through the different codes, see what they're about, and see how these can give you some information about a prospective career. All right, the first code in the Holland codes is realistic. It's the R in RIASEC. So people who are realistic approach problem solving by doing something rather than by talking about it or thinking about it. If you're a realistic person, you like concrete approaches rather than abstract theories. You're stable, you're practical, you're self-reliant, and you prefer things that you can see and touch. You are actually also more likely to be athletically inclined. All right, so you're the doers in our group. Our next career code in RIASEC is I, investigative. So if you're investigative, you prefer to think and observe. You want to understand information rather than use information to persuade people. You most likely enjoy math and science classes, and you like to solve problems on your own. You tend to be analytical, curious, independent, and precise. You're a really good problem solver, and you like understanding how things work. So you're the thinkers of our group. The next letter in the RIASEC code is A, artistic. Artistic people like to work with ideas and things. You tend to be creative, inventive, original, perceptive, independent, but you don't necessarily like structures and rules. You're most likely imaginative, expressive, idealistic, and intuitive. You really like variety, You are the creators among us. Next is social. So social people like to work with other people. They're drawn to close relationships. They just like interacting. You are more likely to be cooperative, sociable, understanding, tactful, friendly. People might describe you as a warm person. You care about the feelings of the people around you. So you're our helpers. The next RIASEC code is E, enterprising. So enterprising people like to work with both people and data. You are good talkers. You value maintaining a good reputation. You're most likely ambitious, extroverted, confident, adventurous. You're responsible, and you get things done. You are the persuaders among us. And then our last code is C, conventional. So conventional people like to work with data. You like structure and order. You like rules and regulations, and especially those that rules and regs that really emphasize self-control. You are very likely efficient, practical, orderly, conscientious. You are good with details, and you're careful to do things the right way. You are the organizers among us. All right, so you take a career assessment and determine what your RIASEC scores are. We can use that information to really help you find careers that align with who you are and your strengths. So your RIASEC score will give you an insight into professional opportunities that you might find fulfilling, and it might pique your interest to research some additional careers. Once we get to the end of this video, I'll show you where you can go to find out your own Holland code. All right, so we're gonna do a little matching game again. We're familiar with the RIASEC and the career clusters. We're going to put that knowledge to work. So we're going to use the same careers as we had earlier, and let's see if we can match these careers with the corresponding RIASEC code that we would expect. All right, and again, often more than one RIASEC code might match to a career, or a career might match to more than one RIASEC code. But we're just going to go with, on the surface, what we think the best fit is. All right, so our hotel manager, remember they were in hospitality. So now we're going to see them as enterprising because they're in that sales and hospitality role. They have the ability to persuade people to try new things, and they can be competitive about getting reservations and sales. Our accountant would be conventional. Remember, they like to work with numbers and they're very systematic. They like to do things the right way. Our police officers could be social. So they have to engage and support the public as they serve and protect. Our conservationist could be considered realistic. Many of these folks like to work with their hands, and they like to work with natural resources, which are things. Our astronauts could be considered investigative. They conduct science experiments, study the planets, do experiments if they're up in space. And lastly, our newspaper editor could be considered artistic. They're using their creativities to craft stories for readers. All right, so this is very exciting stuff. You're like, Jen, great, what do I do now? I want to really emphasize that you're going to be more successful at doing things that you like rather than things that you don't like. And I think that you have enough life experience now to know that that's true. So what we want you to do with this information is to put yourself in a situation where you can be successful. So if you're enterprising, you might want to seek out activities that in organizations that encourage risk-taking. If you like to influence people and you're enterprising, you're going to look at the speech and debate team. If you're athletic and enterprising, you might try rock climbing or skiing, which both contain elements of risk. If you like persuading or marketing and you're enterprising, Then you might look at a business camp where you create and market your own business. That could just be right up your alley. Do any of these careers kind of appeal to you? Not just the ones we've talked about here, but when you do your own discovery and you get your RIASEC score back, you'll probably get some suggested careers. So do some research. Ask somebody who does that job, find them, ask them questions, do an informational interview with a friend's parent, or check out the videos on Road Trip Nation. So if you found a career or two or a career cluster that really interests you, this can lead you to some college majors that you might really enjoy. So if you're hands-on, if you're realistic, you might want to look at careers where you learn by doing, such as computer science, architecture, culinary arts, manufacturing, logistics. You'd probably not be as successful or comfortable if you were to pursue philosophy, which is all about abstract learning. So we're going to have you, get this information back and do some research. All right, I've talked a lot about this in the notes underneath this video and also on the College Place Oregon site. I've got a link to a RIASEC assessment for you through Vita Navis. So feel free, go ahead, take that, get your score back. They'll give you, I think it's about 6 careers to look at in different clusters, and look at those. And even if 1 or 2 of those is not hitting the mark for you, we have a lot of time to do some more research. But really what we hope that you're going to gain by this exercise is getting to know yourself better and really then figuring out what your strengths are, building on those strengths, and then really building on your success in the future. I'll be here. You know how to text me if you need me. And hopefully I will see you soon. Have a great day.